Hello, my name is Raven. I'm from the Hippie Gypsy band and the Culture Distribution and Publishing. We're here to talk a little bit about my story of how this all began. We've come full circle to where everything began in 1996 to Sunset Beach here in Vancouver, BC. And we're going to fill in the blanks of where we started on the streets playing music and busking to 7 CDs being published into iTunes and Spotify, and a movie in production, and a bunch of other stuff. We'll get into that. Stick around. I got you. You got me. We have fun. We party. When it comes to the world, we don't get along. When it comes to the world, together we don't belong. You just hate when you wanna hate. I just watch you seal our fate. When it comes to loving, maybe mine's a bit too strong. When your love is wandering, maybe we don't belong. I got me. I met yesterday. I got a traveling home that drives away. 'Cause when it comes to staying, I think I'll be moving on. Don't like the games you're playing, I'd rather be just gone. I got you. You got me. We got a family living free. But when it comes to the world, we don't get along. When it comes to the world, maybe we don't belong. I got you. You had me. We had fun at our last party. In 1996, I started here on the streets of Vancouver playing music, busking for a living. We formed a music guild that kind of opened the doors to a lot of music acts coming out of Vancouver. And it's been a journey of wonderfulness and happiness since. I found that to be the closest to the evolution of what the music represents is a roving culture of peace and love. Well, the Hippie Gypsy Band actually started in 2001 after we had finished our first 3 CD release on Vancouver Island, which we independently sold the gold album in Canada, which is 50,000 copies. We did 72,000 copies just wandering around campgrounds, which we called the Cowboy Campground Tour. We wanted to do something different. We didn't want to be stuck in a bar dealing with alcoholics and the usual chaos of bar scene life. We wanted to enjoy our time while we played music, so we chose the outdoors, the campfire, the tourists, the people we wanted to target. Well, it was interesting because we would just show up at a random campsite, light the fire. We had a German Shepherd dog traveling with us named Wizard, who would collectively go off and gather people on her own. But as soon as we lit the fire and started the music, it seemed like it was meant to be. People would show up and eventually ask us what we were doing and leave with a copy of their CD by the end of the night. And I think the live personal music approach to people around the fire is the most intimate setting you can have to make them remember you and make them feel the music. Well, I've always written poetry since I was a kid, but being introduced to bands like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin in the early 80s kind of opened my ears, and the first time I heard Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You by Led Zeppelin, I knew I had to learn that song in particular, and a few others, the Rain song. And just learning songs of the artists that I loved kind of opened the doors for my own writing. I grew up in Mission, BC, and just outside of Vancouver here, and we had a lot of very, very talented musicians as I grew up, you know, playing in bands, local bands and stuff, and it's a very tight-knit community, and the whole purpose of the enjoyment after the mill life of sawing cedar shingles all day is to play music. So they kind of took me into their family circle of musicians and opened up the doors to learning new types of music and kind of broadened my horizons of what I wanted to do in life. In 2003, after many struggles of dropping off demo tapes, that's how we used to do it in the old days before the internet, for all you people who don't understand that there was a time that we didn't have the internet. 1996 was the first time that a MP3 was transferred between the United States and London, and I think it took about 12 hours. So we've come a long way from there, and when Facebook opened its doors to the public in 2003, I saw such a great potential of opportunity of using social media to promote without overhead. I mean, most musicians go out of business because of overhead, having to make tapes and give away items, promotional items and so forth. This social media and Facebook have kind of opened the doors to save so much money for so many musicians. To have that availability of the world at your fingertips is just phenomenal for us. Around 2004, I began blanket marketing, what we call guerrilla marketing in music, through social media, through Facebook. I created my own videos, I recorded my own music, I took care of all the responsibilities that I needed, so all I really needed at that time was myself to create a foundation, as well as graphic arts. Once everything was in place, it was just a matter of finding the right people, the targets that I chose. Our interviewer, for instance, was someone that I saw on Facebook, and so that was kind of our approach, is we would just randomly target industry people, other musicians, other artists, other points of contention we needed to accomplish our goals. And around 2012, we had reached the 10,000 mark of 2 full profiles, and I saw the potential. Just how many people you can get. I mean, every Facebook account has a 5,000 limit, so I figured let's open 12 and fill all of them. Let's create our own fan base. Let's create our own contacts. Let's create our own team of workers that I need to help accomplish this project's completion. One project led to another, so we started off with music. We opened the Culture Distribution and Publishing, which is our label for signing other artists for distribution to iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Pandora, all the digital outlets. Then next was we needed a media source that wrote about the story of what we were doing, so I created Don't Shoot the Messenger Media Corp, which basically promotes artists in Canada, United States, and writes positive articles about the ones that we believe in that we found on Facebook. The next step was to find the industry people that could help us. So separating these profiles with specific purpose, one for fans, one for this industry, one for that industry. I created the final one that is a very selective profile, targeting Hollywood stars, other musicians signed to labels, executives, people with money, because we all need money to invest. It's a sad fact of reality, but that's the reality. To accomplish any goal, you have to have a full team, and that means investors. So I figured I would start targeting the richest people in the world because they could afford to help us accomplish our goals. And strangely enough, I haven't had any complaints in 6 years of adding friends that I didn't know. Instead, I've got the opposite response, where some of these very wealthy, influential folks have, while we were building it. So the idea is to have reality happen in a way that's undetermined and an unsignified ending, but you're actually filming the whole process, and you're documenting who friended you, who cut you out, who is still on your list. So the Culture became a movie about the making of a social media adventure, to promote the band, to promote other bands, to promote other artists, to create a family of musicians and artists and people that can help each other. The Culture itself is it's a movie that we have a lot of footage in the can already, but it's still yet unfinished because we are still in the process of living it. So we plan to release that about 2019. We should have everything finished and done. You know, more or less promoting other artists that helped us, promoting executives that helped us, and just telling the story of how everything began. The story begins in a beautiful place like this, on a street with a guitar, a lot of pain from a broken up relationship, that not everything works in life, so I packed up all my stuff and headed down here to write songs. My songs, I never expected to be accepted by so many different kinds of music listeners. As I've been told, there's an ingredient of harmony and love within them that, you know, maybe I was just writing a story about my life. Somehow it relates to many, many other people. I took that ingredient and just ran with it. I've now recorded my 475th song. We have 120 out on the market right now, so we have a big bag of tricks to work with, and we are using some of that material to produce other artists. It started with the 30-song saga of The Unknown Cowboy by the Hippie Gypsy band. We put a lot of effort, time into this project. We brought 60-some musicians from different acts to be a part of this project. So in respect, we were not only promoting our stuff, we were promoting other people, which is just a tumble effect of dominoes that fall into positive things. The more people involved, the more people will push your ideas out there, and the more successful you'll be. We began our first tour in BC, focusing just on the BC tourism market, which we called the Cowboy Campground tour. We figured we would hit all the spots on Vancouver Island first, all the little islands, Hornby Island, Salt Spring Island, Tofino, which is a little hamlet at the end of Vancouver Island. We went into the interior to the Caribou country. We went to Kamloops. We went to any place that was, we packed all of our CDs in the trunk of our car and just grabbed a map and set a tour of where we would hit. We would pull in, set up our tent, light a fire, pull out the guitar, and the people would come. There's nothing more simpler than simple. That's how we do it. Right now we've finished promoting 10 other acts in Canada, one of them being Social Strife, another band out of Vancouver called Kickin' Rocks. Over the last year we have focused on a few acts that we have under our label, the Culture Distribution and Publishing. That's taken a lot of time in bringing these acts out into the general public. We brought them into our networks on Facebook and social media. We showed up at their shows and be involved and just help out. We got them distribution to different labels that they wanted. If they wanted independent distribution, we focused on what these acts wanted, and spent a year creating their graphics, their image, everything that they needed all the tools they needed in their toolbox to be successful. One of the bands that I've really liked since I heard them was Social Strife. And they've just done amazing since signing them a year ago under distribution. They are just a walking entity. They've gotten offers from Sony, they've gotten offers from Geffen. This is the whole beauty of social media. What they know is that they're good enough to get these offers, and that's kind of the main point of confidence that some of these musicians need. Whether they take the choice or not to work with a big company and corporation, as we know, music is changing. Successful people don't necessarily have to be under a big label anymore. We're a finger touch away from the world, so the world has changed so much since I grew up in the 80s and 90s with music, where we were told what to listen to. We were informed of what the next act would be. Now it's up to the people's choice through social media of how many hits you get on Google or how many friends you have on Facebook, what kind of friends you have. Your success is all in your hands to create yourself. So the self-reliance of everything has kind of opened the doors for each musician to the world to be successful on their own. Many of these artists have that we listen to on the radio today have created their own entities and then been signed at a later date by big labels once they are at that point, which is kind of the new music direction. Labels don't put up money for bands anymore. Those days are gone. We have to invest in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves enough to empty our bank accounts, and that's a tough going gig when you have a family. However, if you believe in yourself, that's the whole beauty of it. Success for me would just be able to make a living at what I love so much. Seeing people smile from a song I play, finishing these movie scripts that I put together, just from music opening the doors and giving me all these great ideas. Just to make a living and to see my children grow into my career as well, as my daughters play as well. My wife plays. We're forming a new project called the Majestic Ravens, which is going to be a family band, going right back to the beginning of me and my wife traveling around with a car and trunk load of CDs and some big smiles on our faces and some positive attitudes. And this is just a great opportunity to do so, and to work with my kids is just amazing. We put our daughter Leah into Victoria School of Arts because this is something I wanted to have as a family value, is promoting art and culture within my children. Growing up with my father, it wasn't so much a concern. Music was the last thing we should be doing. We should be working, work, 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 work. If you're not getting your hands dirty, you weren't actually existing as a worker. So to have that support put on my children is the breaking of that cycle where we don't consider music and art a waste of time. We consider it an industry and something that can be accomplished as a dream. The reason behind what we're doing is to create some harmony in the world. The songs I write are about things that I think are beautiful, things that we should notice, things that we should notice a little bit more. Some answers in the songs about how we can all get along. Why do we do this? That's a great question. I've often wondered that myself years ago. Now I think I understand is to create a little bit of harmony in the world, to take the things that we find are problems with the world and find some solution in song. I mean, in essence, we're all here for different reasons, but we end up in the same place. And we got to learn how to get along in the process of getting there. I think there is a possibility that we all can get along on this planet. There doesn't have to be religion separating us. There doesn't have to be social environments separating us. We can be together, but we have to try harder. If I had to wrap it all up in a sentence of what we want to accomplish is we want to see the smiles on people's faces. When we write a song that really pulls at those strings in your heart or makes you think and brings you in to a positive scenario where you remember something, you feel something that you liked. So these are the emotions we like to play with, is to make people smile, make people feel at home, make them feel like they belong and they're a part of our family. Because you are. Thank you for watching this. We've really enjoyed sharing our story with you, the Hippie Gypsy Band and the culture distribution and publishing. And you will be hearing a lot more about us. We don't give up. We go further. We get rejected. We will be further ahead by learning why we got rejected, why this isn't working. So count on us being a big player in the music industry. We're gathering fuel right now and we're about ready to light the fire. And we're welcoming all of you to be a part of that big bonfire of music. My name is Christopher Raven of the Hippie Gypsy Band and the Culture Distribution and Publishing. And I want to thank you so much for being a part of our family. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.